طرق وسط الحياة تاهوا فيها ناس، وطرق تبان مفروشة ورد وتنتهي بألم وضيق، لكن الطريق للفرحة وطريق الخلاص عند المسيح. أصل المسيح هو الحياة، هو الطريق 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 الطريق
Welcome to The Way TV, Wake Up America. We're going to go around the world again every time we go around the world, checking up on Islam to see exactly what Islam is doing. We know for a fact that in Iraq with ISIS is going out of their way to capture Christian women, shackle them up, take them away, and sell them as slaves. What did Muhammad do? He gathered up slaves. It was Muhammad himself who was a white man with red hair, and he had black slaves, and he called black people raisin heads. We know that for a fact. We've proved that before on this show many, many times. But right now, what's happening over in Iraq is also happening at the incipient beginning stages in the United States. Let's watch A Hometown Bayou coming soon. Clip number 7.
No, no, he died for sin. We never did this. That's Luca told us. Luca is never says.
How do you know what was written down was written from Allah and not, you know, because like that was written by Muhammad's companion.
So Luca told me not
If the Quran tells you that
Okay, but if we use your criteria, okay, we use your criteria, we couldn't even say Muhammad existed.
No, Muhammad existed.
No.
Look at yours.
It's from the Bible. Why are you holding the Bible?
Why can't I put it out?
Why do you have that thing on your head? Your Hajj? Protect them from the sun.
Take the sun off my head.
You know what? Why don't you go home and read the Bible in the house? You won't have no sun.
Well, why can't I be out here?
What are you doing here?
Well, I'm talking to this man.
You're talking to this man?
Yes.
You trying to convert him into Christianity?
No, I want to
No, I
convert them
can't
to
convert
Islam.
anybody. That's the job of the Holy Spirit.
A spirit? A ghost? Look, bro. Go get some education, then come and talk to me. I'm actually highly educated.
If you don't believe,
I said I'm actually very educated.
And you like what he's saying?
I'm a Christian, yes.
Are you?
Yes.
You're with them?
I'm not with them. I'm not with them. I'm with another group.
You believe in what they're saying?
I have no idea what they're saying.
You want them here?
I have no idea what they're saying. I'm not
Why'd you say you're a
listening to
Christian?
them. Because I am a Christian. I'm a follower of Jesus.
All right, is this right or wrong?
I don't.
What's wrong with it?
The pig and all that, is that right or wrong?
He has freedom of speech to do what he's doing.
Not freedom of speech, it's the...
Does he have the right? Yes or no?
He has the right to come
Okay,
here,
well that's fine.
first of all.
That's fine.
Go home and do it. Go to a church. Don't do it in front of a bunch of Muslims. You can eat your ass kicked if you're doing it in front of a bunch of
First
Muslims.
of all, I'm not dissuaded. You know what? Maybe we should move on. I don't want to be associated with them. But he
Yeah, do that. Go ahead. Go help your Christian buddies over there and leave the Muslims over here, okay?
Listen, listen,
We don't want to see the Bible.
I'm in a free country.
You're in a free country? Where'd you come from? You were born here?
Actually, yes, I was.
I'm not talking to you. You were born here?
Yes, I was.
When? What's your nationality?
I'm a Canadian, but I was born.
Go back to Canada. Preach Christianity in Canada.
You know what?
They love you in Canada.
Sharia law has not come here yet.
Oh, it is going to come here, baby. And when it does, you know what it's going to do to people like you?
Absolutely.
Send you back on the bridge and go home to Canada.
No, it won't. It'll cut my head off.
Yeah, I hope it does. Put some sense into it. You had no more sense. You got a thing like this making fun of everything with a
I'm not
Bible?
making fun of anybody.
You're hot.
What?
You're hot, right? You got that on because you're hot?
Yes.
That's a bunch of bullshit. You know that?
How do you know that, though?
It is. What do you mean, how do you know that? You can't tell. He's got this with a Bible in his heart.
Do you know his
I don't
heart?
give a fuck about his heart.
Tell
Him
me.
being here
Christian-
and talking about in front of Arabs? What?
Christian Arabs were this.
Christian Air Fryer, that's true. That's true.
Listen, you're a Christian? Keep it to yourself. You're a Muslim? Keep it to yourself. Don't come to an Arab festival where people are singing
They're a Christian
and
Arab.
happy.
Christian
Just go
Arab.
home. Go to Canada.
That's Christian Arabs. Christian
Come
Arabs.
back up and
Don't they?
Now that's the incipient stages. There's less than 1% of the Muslims in the United States. There's about 320 million people in the United States, about 3.2 Middle East Muslims. Over 90% of them are Muslim Brotherhood Sunnis, and they all follow what did Muhammad do. When I go out and everybody can have their own style, come let us reason, you know, Isaiah 1, come let us reason. When we're dialoguing, trying to dialogue and talk with Muslims, it's very difficult because asking questions about Islam is forbidden in the Quran, and if you leave Islam, if you become an apostate, then according to the Quran and the Hadith, they're supposed to track you down and kill you. What did Muhammad do is, for me, always the easiest, simplest way to get through to the Muslims, to have them understand that, yes, indeed, we do understand that there's 22 verses in the Quran that do tell a good Muslim to do what Muhammad did. What did Muhammad do? He was a murderer, killer, everything else. Every time I go out and everywhere that I go in my car, I always have my Quran. I always have The Perfect Man, this book here that goes through hundreds and hundreds of proofs about what did Muhammad do from the Quran and from the Hadith, and it's right there. I have Muhammad, Believe It or Else, which is again shows from the Hadith and the Quran what did Muhammad do, his violence, his raping, his murdering, dismembering an old woman by using camels and driving them apart, and on and on and on. Have all the proof, evidence, and facts, proof, evidence, and facts, proof, evidence, and facts. I have found that it's much easier trying to reach a fraction of the Muslims by using that technique, including a little over a score, over 20 members of the Saudi Arabian royal family a couple of years ago down in San Diego, and the little green book by Ayatollah Khomeini. While he was a Shiite, he's also considered an expert in Sharia law, and direct quotes from him where it says little boys and little girls in grammar school can arrange a secret temporary marriage so that they can copulate without telling their mother and father. That is accepted in Sharia law. Also in Islamic parlance and strategy and tactics, there's a word called taqiyya, T-A-K-E-E-Y-A, T-A-K-I-A, and other spellings. Taqiyya means to lie is okay for a Muslim and that they don't have to tell you the truth. Okay, so as I promised you, we'll start with the United States. We'll go to Pakistan. Clip number 10, clip number 10. That was in Pakistan, what they did there. The Muslims, the good Muslims, those who do what Muhammad did, commanded them in the 22 verses in the Quran. The Muslims found this innocent family, but they weren't innocent. According to Sharia law, they're kafir, they're infidels, they're not Muslims. And so therefore, burning down their houses, killing them, even little girls, is okay. As all of this stuff is warming up literally, you know, as they have burning down the house of the Christian, they're warming it up. But all throughout the world now, with everything that's going on, the people are finally seeing everywhere they look throughout the world, wherever Islam goes, they're seeing violence, violence, violence. The answer to everything in Islam is eventually violence. When the Muslims are less than 2% of the population, between 1 and 2%, they're nice, they love you. They quote from the first 4 or 5 chapters of the verse, be nice to the Christians and Jews, the people of the book, to be lovey-dovey. But when you get to the balance of the 114 if you're Sunni, 115 chapters if you're Shiite, they're all about kill, murder, rape, kill, murder, rape, kill, murder, rape, especially against the non-Muslims everywhere you go. Now, what people are seeing in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Syria, in Boko Haram, in Africa, in the Philippines, in China with the Uyghurs, all over the world, in Europe, the Amirs of the Caucasus are seeing violence, violence, violence. This is happening, beginning to happen, step by step, stage by stage. That's why I started with Dearborn, Michigan, where Islam began first, about 1920 or so. You had the Nation of Islam founded around 1920, could have been 1925, 1930 or so. And when the Middle East Muslims started to come to the United States, birds of a feather flock together, so they all went to Dearborn, Michigan. So now, after 80 some odd years, that is a huge stronghold of Muslims. And in fact, if you were to get into a car accident there with a Muslim, there is a very strong possibility that the 12 people on your jury could end up all being Muslims. And under Sharia law, all 12 of the Muslims on that jury, they don't adjudicate the case based on the Constitution of the United States. We've shown proof about that many times on this show. But a good Muslim will not look at the facts, evidence, and proof. He will look and see, does that involve my brother or sister, Muslim, in their spiritual realm against a kafir, the infidel, and they will always side with their Muslim brother or sister, even if it's a rape or a murder case. Okay, so we went from Michigan to Pakistan, and now let's go to Sweden, clip number 13, and watch some brave people. Clip number 13.
Het spijt me. In de naam van Allah, de barmhartige en genadevolle. Ik weet het spijt me, dat is niet de manier zoals het moet. Maar ik ben genoodzaakt om dat te doen. Ik heb een aantal keer verzoeken gedaan, maar dat werd overgeslagen. Ik ben een dienaar van Allah. Hij heeft mij het boek gegeven en tot een profeet gemaakt. Hij heeft mij gezegend gemaakt waar ik ook mogen zijn. Hij heeft mij het gebed en armenbelasting verplicht gemaakt. En hij heeft mij niet een arrogante ongehoorzamer gemaakt jegens mijn moeder. Vrede zijn met mij op de dag dat ik geboren werd, op de dag dat ik sterf en op de dag dat ik weer op het leven word gewekt. Ik ben Isa Messie, Yeshua, Jezus Christus, hoe je het noemen wil. Maar ik kom hier uitnodigen. Er is niks aan de hand, er is geen bom of zo, blijf maar zitten. Ik ben niet gevaarlijk gek, maar ik ben een dienaar van Allah en ik kom hier uitnodigen tot geloof. Geloof in Allah, mevrouw. En dient hem dus. Dat is de rechte weg.
All right, now this is really significant because you watch there, the intellectual, ladies and gentlemen, the people of arts and entertainment, intellectuals, this is very important. This is a very important moment in a time for people beginning to demonstrate that they're beginning to understand how dangerous Islam is. I believe if that gentleman got up 10 years earlier and did what he did, the leader of the orchestra there, obviously Muslim Brotherhood, a member of the Ikhwan Muslimin, that if he'd gotten up 10 years ago, before all of the visual battles have come up over the last 6 months to a year or so, going back to 9/11, the original one in 2001, but little by little, little by little, little by little, little by little, the Muslims have been overcoming their own lies through our political leaders, both Republicans and Democrats, conservatives and liberals, all being members of, you could say, the intellectual class, because most of them have college degrees and whatnot. But when an orchestra gets up and walks out, that's demonstrative of people who are highly upset. They're generally neutral and tolerant, but they're not going to be tolerant anymore of such a dangerous religion, and it's being proved every night now. Hamas, Boko Haram, Mujahideen, Taliban, Al-Qaeda, Dearborn, Michigan, Pakistan burning up innocent little girls and boys, the Dutch, been there lecturing the Queen of the Dutch, and so the guy still thinks, and the Muslim Brotherhood, in their arrogance, that is a weakness. In their arrogance, that is a flaw. In their arrogance, thinking that they are Goliath and that they have overcome the intellectuals of the West, no. We in the West, come let us reason, still are moved, and we think in terms of, hey, show me proof, evidence, and facts. Come let us reason. Come let us reason. Show me proof, evidence, and facts. And the Muslim Brotherhood in Dearborn, Michigan, in Los Angeles, in Egypt, in Gaza, in Syria, ISIS, all over the world, the Muslim Brotherhood, they've run out of money. They've run out of currency, intellectual currency, and money. People are starting to see the proof, evidence, and facts. Thank God for the Way TV, KKLA in Los Angeles, allowing Joseph Nasrallah to come in and tell the truth about what's happening in Iraq, where ISIS, the good Muslim Brotherhood, good Muslims doing what the 22 verses of the Quran tell a good Muslim to do, kidnapping, abusing, raping, shackling together, handcuffing together these innocent Christian people, murdering pastors. Our next clip is pretty nasty and awful about that. We're going to cut it short. But in this next clip we show a good Muslim, 50 beheaded people who were captured in Iraq. 15 of the 50 were pastors. 50 of the 50 were Christians. We will not show the beheaded heads. We'll only show about 30 or 40 seconds to let you know that it is happening. Proof, evidence, and facts. The visual proof, evidence, and facts, so that people can go in there and continue to lie. Islam is a religion of peace. Islam is a religion of peace. Islam is a religion of peace. No, Islam is what did Muhammad do? 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 He murdered, he killed, he raped, and he lied that Islam is a religion of peace. He murdered, he kidnapped, he lied, he raped, he beheaded people. He raped a wife, a widow of her husband who had been beheaded just a minute or two before. This is what Islam is, and very rapidly the people of the world are beginning to see that their leaders have been lying to them, have taken money. The death knell of every republic is foreign money. The foreign money coming into the West, petrodollars from Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Kuwait, all those other countries has a heavy cost on it. And that is that so many of our politicians, Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, have got their hand out like Judas Iscariot and Benedict Arnold have been taking all that money. Let's go and watch how they kidnap, shackle, and behead the people, good Muslims, doing it to innocent kafir or infidels. Clip number 9. Clip number 9.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أعز جنده وأنجز وعده وهزم الأحزاب وحده إخوانكم جنود الدولة الإسلامية أتمنى الله عليه بفضل من عنده.
I promised that I would cut it short, and I have to do it. But what you saw there was the headless body, the first caption, then his head along the fence pole there. You can, and those are the people who do that, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen from the West, all my friends from the Middle East, they know I tell the truth from my heart. I love people so much that I don't want them to suffer through that. I would rather go on the show and show these clips to shock the Muslims, to get them to quit being Muslim Brotherhood, to begin to be civilized. And I know that it's having a huge effect, and I know that millions and millions and millions of Muslims don't want to be part of this. They want to come out, but they're afraid that they will be captured and beheaded like those people too. It's very sad. It's very sad. Okay, so we started in Dearborn, Michigan. We went to Pakistan. We went to the Dutch. We went to Iraq. And now let us go to England. Clip number 16. Clip number 16.
Hello, I'm Jeremy Vine, and this is Panorama. Many British Muslims have divided loyalties. Something others are happy to exploit.
He changed because of all the people that he was hanging around with. He believed that he was on the right path, he found the right religion, this was the right way of life.
We have hatred for you. We have hatred.
The
all these people here.
We report the facts.
All these people here hate you.
Oh, come on.
One day we will rise up and overthrow the phenomenon.
Until now, radicals have been tolerated, even courted, so long as they denounce violence. But that may be about to change.
Islam is not compatible with democracy.
My question to you really is, are you part of the problem or are you part of the solution?
Britain's Muslims feel picked on and spied on, apparently. At the same time, we're told the threat of terrorism is still severe. And just because there hasn't been a major incident since 7/7 certainly does not mean that threat has gone away. So how do you reassure Muslims that they are not under suspicion, while at the same time exploiting all potential intelligence opportunities? It's not easy, as Richard Watson now reports.
Britain's southwest coast, noted for beaches rather than bombs. It's the last place you'd expect a terrorist attack. But on May the 22nd last year, Nikki Riley, a 22-year-old convert to Islam, walked into a packed family restaurant in Exeter and tried to commit mass murder with a homemade bomb. It blew up in his face as he prepared to attack, and dozens of injuries and deaths were avoided. So who is Nikki Riley? A social misfit, he suffered from Asperger's syndrome and had a low IQ. He was radicalized while living in Plymouth with his mum. The internet played a part, but police sources told us they believe an extremist in the local community must have held his hand.
He changed because of all the people that he was hanging around with. He believed that he was on the right path, he found the right religion, this was the right way of life. And he was just taken in by it. He would have had to have instructions or guidance from someone. There's no way Nikki's got the capability to do that.
Hello, Richard. Good to see you.
This senior policeman is driving policy to prevent young Muslims like Riley from becoming radicalized.
Preventing violent extremism is an agenda that binds us. It doesn't divide us.
Yes.
Sir Norman Bettison believes that working with local Muslim leaders is vital.
Islam, by its very DNA, is violent. It's all, what did Muhammad do? And to watch the police, and it's interesting. We got the folks, the Dutch, the intellectuals, the folks in the orchestra. They understand. They're walking out. They understand. Then you got the police. They've been so browbeaten and brainwashed under political correctness and that can't we all get along. And then, as I said in that last video there in England, the convert to Islam said Islam and democracy are incompatible. And then the Muslims want to know why we are suspicious when everything we see coming out of Islam lends itself and leads itself into violence. Some people will come back and say, well, it's only 15 to 25%. Well, okay. Out of 1 million people, that's 150,000 to 250,000 who want to walk around and blow me up or kill me, or like that kid there from that Brit, that convert, he makes a homemade bomb, walks into a popular restaurant, tries to blow up all these innocent people. This is Islam. What did Muhammad do? It's only 15 to 25%, fine. If your kids go to a school with 1,000 children in that school, 150 to 250 of the 1,000 want to beat up your child or rape your child or murder your child. Wherever Islam goes, you always have violence. So wouldn't it behoove someone under the doctrine of survival of the fittest, which I believe in, and being fit, survival of the fittest, not part of evolution. I don't believe in biological evolution, but I do believe in survival of the fittest, and that is use your senses, your 5 senses, do your reading and learn and understand, and like Sherlock Holmes, figure out, well, golly gee, if the guy's laying in your street, like when they cut off poor Rigby's head, the English soldier, and he's lying there dead, and a guy is yelling Allah Akbar next to him, wouldn't that infer that that's probably a Muslim? Like in the Fort Hood massacre, where the army major murdered all of his fellow soldiers, and then Chris Matthews gets on the news and says, even though he was yelling Allah Akbar, that doesn't mean that religion's part of it. That doesn't mean that religion's part of it. Well, let's take a look at clip number 1. Clip number 1.
An al-Qaeda-linked group fighting in Syria has released video of the first American to carry out a suicide attack in that country's civil war. The video shows U.S. citizen Moner Mohammed Abu Salah with other fighters before a May 25th attack that targeted several army positions. It's unknown how many people were killed in the bombing. The 22-year-old appears smiling in the video and speaks in broken Arabic, saying, "I want to rest in the afterlife in heaven." The video was released by Nusra Front's media arm and posted on jihadi websites. Abu Salah grew up in Florida and attended several colleges before dropping out and moving abroad. Thousands of foreign fighters have gone to Syria to fight against President Bashar Assad's forces after the uprising against his government began 3 years ago. A State Department official says the U.S. does not track the...
Okay, going over to Syria to fight against Assad. Politics aside, let's take a look at who are the guys fighting Assad. ISIS, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, or ISIL. It's all the same. It's the same. It's the Quran, chapter 8, verse 60, terrorize all of the infidels, destroy them, kill them, murder them, rape them. Don't let the spokesman for the Muslim Brotherhood fool you. I do Facebook. I get several thousand hits a day. And it's interesting, the Muslims, for a while, were trying to come in and dissuade me, persuade me, misdirect me, to mislead me, to do taqiyya, to distract me, if you will. But I kept coming back to, that's fine, what did Muhammad do? They would come back, well, what about Christians? I'd come back with, what about Muhammad? What did Muhammad do? In Christianity, Jesus Christ is the strength. He is perfect. Me, the Christian, I am weak. I do mistakes. I'm a hypocrite. I lie. I do all kinds of things. I come back and I try to do, what did Jesus do? I ask for forgiveness and I move on. And life is better. As a member of this society, living in the highest degree of peace, order, liberty, and prosperity, because I can be corrected based on what did Jesus do. But under Islam, what did Muhammad do? It's just the opposite. Under what did Muhammad do, then they would look to the 22 verses in the Quran directing them to do what Muhammad do, which they would find in the Hadith and the Sirah. The Hadith is the life of Muhammad, and the Sirah is the biography of, and the Sunnah is the tradition, and the verses in the Quran. And they would always go back to what did Muhammad do, or they would try to avoid that, because under Islam, Muhammad is the weak link. Christ is the strength, the strong link of Christianity. He's perfect. The Christian is the weak link. It's just the opposite with Islam. Muhammad is the weak link in Islam because his character was flawed. He would lie on the bed and drool and speak to himself and hallucinate to his 9-year-old wife, Aisha, whom he married when she was sick. And he would drool and he would mutter that he was having sex with all of his wives at the same time, and Aisha would watch him. He said also in the Hadith, Aisha is quoted saying that Muhammad did not feel like a real man until he was a transvestite wearing her garments. Muhammad, weak link. Jesus, strong link. Christian, weak link. Muslim, strong link. Why is the Muslim the strong link in Islam? Because he'll kill you. He'll beat you up. He'll knock you down. He'll capture you. He'll put you in shackles, and he will sell you to make money. He will sell you to make money. Clip number 15. Muhammad was a pervert. Clip number 15.
There's been an argument. Some of the other men want to take the boy home tonight.
بچه فیصله رسیم بچه را کی میبرن؟ بچه را ما میبرن تو میبری؟ میبری
بقي ما تجزيز النار ما شاف جرا ما بشدرني
This is his boy. You want to introduce to us? بیریش شماست؟
بازی میکنه بچه
خواه برجمه میرخصن؟ تو چرا شام نمودن که رخصن؟
نه بود روزا بود
یک شای دیگه بیریم
نمونی
زنگ ساخت
خواهیم یک بدن رفت دوگه میگردی
دیگه پیش شما میباشن؟
آه ایشه بود
چند سال هستی؟
شاید اگم 14 ساله باشه بچه امسال جیب بود
It's 11-year-old Shafiq's first day of training.
ایش اینا آوردیم اینا استاد است اینا میخوایم که شاگرد بانیم هم موسیقی را یاد بگیره هم بزم یاد بگیره یک چند روز قدیما بلد شوه در خوب بوی ما بلد شوه بعد از او استاد میاریم یادش میتن والدنش هم میگیم پول آدم یک
All right, now I know a lot of you right now are saying, oh, this guy's full of baloney. Hey, there's my Quran right there. There's my Quran. What did Muhammad do? There's my Quran. Surah 76, chapter 76, verse 19. and round about them will serve use of perpetual freshness. If thou seest them, thou wouldest think them scattered pearls. He's talking about the same thing about when they commit suicide bombing, when they get killed in combat. During jihad, they get to go to heaven, and when they go to heaven, Quran 56, 22 through 36, and there will be our Aleen, paradise women, Oris, from which the word we get whores, as if they are preserved pearls, and we made them virgins. Hey, what did Muhammad do? We have strong suspicions from these kind of works and some of the stuff he did in the Hadith that not only, we know he's a transvestite because in Bukhari, which is one of the, probably the leading point of value, intellectual scholar accepted by everybody in the Islamic world, Bukhari points out that Aisha said that he used to feel like a real man when he would wear her clothes. He was a transvestite. And then we have other narratives in the Hadith that point out that he was kissing on men and other stuff that I can't say in polite society and is rather disgusting. Okay, CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations, and Hamas. Hamas are the guys in the Gaza Strip who are digging the tunnels and murdering everybody they possibly can, including Muslims there. This is a famous tactic of the Muslims, taqiyya, and killing other Muslims. It's a form of lying, killing Muslims themselves, which the Prime Minister of Kosovo, who's a Muslim, is accused of doing too, and then trying to pin it on the Christians or the Jews. And we know for a fact that this is going on. So Council on American Islamic Relations and CARE, I don't see the difference. We know for a fact that CARE supports Hamas. And so clip number 11, clip number 11.
What's going on? Who are these people? What are they saying? What does it mean? And why is CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations, supporting, sponsoring a Hamas jihad rally in downtown Miami, right across from the Israeli consulate? What is that all about? Well, very simple. CARE is Hamas. How do they live and act? Take a look at this frightening and shocking piece of footage where these individuals, sponsored by CARE, CARE is Hamas, attacked, assaulted, committed battery against one of our own cameramen.
This man is a Zionist. He has this scarf around his neck to try to blend in. He's filming us all so he can send it to his pro-Israel websites, okay? Just let everybody know he's not one of us.
Don't touch me. You want to go to jail?
Yeah, I want to.
You want to go to jail? Don't touch me.
Go to jail.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Sir, you were in public. You have no expectations of privacy in public.
Now I'm showing that because whenever people try to get the proof, evidence, and facts by using cameras, Hamas and these people of the Muslim Brotherhood who are good Muslims according to the Quran, and they don't like it, and they will push you, they will shove you, they will hit you, they will do whatever they can to intimidate you and get you out. They will threaten you with suicide bombing, which they did to my group while I was there, with police there for protection. So you have to be careful with that. So wherever Islam goes, you're always going to have violence show up, no matter how reasonable you are. I think I'm being very reasonable. I'm showing proof, evidence, and facts. I show the passion because I've seen people shot to death and blown up to death in battle, and I don't want to see it anymore. I want to just be able to dialogue and to reason, use logic and proof and evidence and facts, source documents. The Quran, talking about in Surah 76:19, chapter 76, verse 19, that if you're killed in battle, jihad, not only do you get the 72 babes, but you get the little boys too. And I showed you the videos. So we've got Dearborn, Michigan, Pakistan, we got the Dutch, we got United Kingdom, we got Florida in one, we got Afghanistan and Miami. All of these happening wherever Muslims go. The Florida one, the first one, was the native-born Floridian who became a Muslim, and he did what a good Muslim did. According to the Quran, he's now in paradise with his choice of 72 babes or little boys. That's what Muhammad did. On a humorous note, here's from, I think this clip is from India, and only a few words in English, but as you watch it, you can, once in a while, you'll hear in English the ISIS Marriage Bureau and the ISIS honeymoon package. It's a satire, but it really is biting satire, sardonic. It cuts to the chase of how dangerous Islam truly is, especially to women. Clip number 14.
इराक में जरूरत है कुंवारी या तलाकशुदा महिलाओं की। इराक में आतंकियों ने खोला मैरिज ब्यूरो। आतंकियों के लिए दुल्हन की जरूरत। लड़ाकों के लिए आतंकियों का हनीमून पैकेज। आतंकी मांगे दुल्हन।
जी हां, इराक और सीरिया में इस्लामिक स्टेट की लड़ाई लड़ रहे लड़ाकों को अब दुल्हन चाहिए। हजारों बेगुनाहों का खून बहाकर और लाखों लोगों का घर उजाड़कर अब ये आतंकी खुद अपना।
So that's India. A lot of people will realize it, but India, when they gained their independence from England, they had this giant civil war between the Muslims and the Hindus. That's where Pakistan, at first, it wasn't Pakistan, it was East Pakistan, which is now Bangladesh, and West Pakistan. Now it's Pakistan and Bangladesh. But millions and millions of people were murdered, whole trainloads of people. The trains were stopped, and everybody on board the train were murdered, millions and millions and millions of people. The Hindus and the Muslims have been fighting for 1,400 years. Wherever Islam goes, you will find violence. So that's a biting satire, sardonic, on how during combat, while all of the men, Allah Akbar, are thinking about getting killed so they can have 72 virgins, or little boys too, as we've read, they're doing a satire on it, showing they have the ISIS Marriage Bureau so that 4 girls can marry the ISIS, which is happening. We had one instance where an ISIS fellow, he looked like he's about 40 years old, grabbed a 7-year-old girl, the poor thing scared and crying and terrified, and he marries her. She's 7, he's 40. He's 40, she's 7. ISIS Marriage Bureau, that's what that's all about. The ISIS honeymoon that the lady from India, I assume Hindu, is laughing and talking about, because now they're in combat, so they're killing people, being killed, and while they're doing this, they're copulating with 3 more women or 4 women, their wives. What did Muhammad do? Always, always, always. What did Muhammad do? What did Muhammad do 5 times? If you want to understand Islam, don't listen to the politicians. Don't listen to the intellectuals. Don't listen to the Muslim Brotherhood. Listen to the Quran in the 22 verses where it commands the Muslims do what Muhammad did. Finally, since September the 11th, 2001, when they blew up the World Trade Center, and George W. Bush and his cronies got together and said, Islam is a religion of peace that's been hijacked by a few radicals. And then listening to the Major General who was murdered in Afghanistan a few days ago, a Major General, 2-star general, and he was touting the same line. How do I know? Because I have firsthand evidence of how when I was working with the Marine Corps, and I was telling the truth about Islam being what did Muhammad do, and telling what Muhammad did, they fired me and they told me I couldn't say that. They couldn't tell the truth, use proof, evidence, and facts to tell the truth about Muhammad being a savage, murderer, rapist, child molester, necrophiliac, probably homosexual, we know for a fact transvestite, all these same things that are in the holy books of Islam. What did Muhammad do? People are finally starting to see through the visual message of all of these battles and killings and beheadings and rapings and lyings and marrying little 7-year-old girls and doing all these insane things. That's what Muhammad did. What did Jesus do? None of that. Jesus is the strength of Christianity. Muhammad is the weakness of Islam. Muslims are the strength of Islam because they will merely kill you or beat you or shackle you and sell you into slavery. They are the strength of Islam. Wherever you see Islam, you see people in self-defense trying to protect themselves from the onslaught juggernaut of the truly good Muslims, the 15 to 25% always found in the Ummah, the body of believers globally. Our leaders can't lie anymore. Islam is doing what it always does. When Islam reaches about 10 to 20% of the population of the host nation, they turn to violence. Globally, Islam is between 20 and 25%. So globally, the Muslims are doing what Muhammad did because their strength in numbers, their arrogance, they're outdoing what Muhammad did, what a good Muslim does, doing what Muhammad did. And no matter how much our politicians lie anymore, people are starting to wake up. One of the last vestiges to slow up the process of the people of the West, in particular America, because we're the only folks in the world with a written First Amendment. Many people in the West, in the United States, think that the First Amendment is absolute and that we have an absolute duty to protect our religions. That's absolutely false. For example, Warren Jeffs is a modern prophet under the fundamentalist Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, the fundamentalist Mormons. He had multiple wives, little girls, old women, mothers and daughters, sisters that he was married to. He was on the FBI's most wanted list. Why? For sexual crimes? Yeah, but also that's the religion of the LDS. That is the religion of the LDS. That's what Joseph Smith did. What would Jesus do? What would Muhammad do? What would Joseph Smith do? By the way, in the LDS, in their doctrine, Joseph Smith, their prophet, we have from their own church quotes that Joseph Smith wanted to be the Muhammad of America and wanted to use the sword and the Quran to turn America blood gore from the Atlantic to the Rocky Mountains because he wanted to do what Muhammad did. It's okay. It's okay. Thank you. Oh, it's much better. Thanks. This is the pervasive thinking that most people in the West can't understand. They think, well, that's his religion, but he's allowed, under our First Amendment, incorrectly interpreted by most Americans and jurists, attorneys, judges, perhaps even members of the Supreme Court, that the First Amendment guarantees everybody a right to practice their religion the way they wanted to. That's not true. Warren Jeffs is in jail for doing what his religion told him to do. Utah was not allowed into the United States until they gave up polygamy. I believe it was the Edmund Tucker or Tucker-Edmund bill that went through Congress. And in fact, the United States in 1857 declared war against Utah. Very fascinating. I love history. Those who don't know history are forced to repeat it. But the key is Sheriff Baca and the LAPD, and I'm sure it's the same in Dallas, in New York, in New Hampshire, in Seattle, in Georgia, in Arizona, in California, in New Mexico. So many of our authorities, like that policeman we showed in the UK earlier, stating that he was going to sit down and dialogue with these folks and change them into Western ways. No. No. So many of our leaders think that, are especially military and sheriffs and police, that the First Amendment is absolutely absolute, that we cannot prohibit religion. My comeback is using the concept of equity, of logic. Okay, so in other words, if the First Amendment protects all religion, well, what if I start a religion, the first Muslim, Baptist, cannibals of California, the first Muslim Baptist cannibals of California. And during our services, we sacrifice a kid or a woman, a virgin, on the altar, and then we devour them. Most people laugh at me. Judges do not. I've been involved in about 11 federal lawsuits. I've sat on the witness stand and reasoned with judges, with jurists, plaintiffs, and defendants many, many times. And when I present this case, they understand exactly what I'm saying, and they accept me. Hey, is that for me? Oh, okay. Thank you. They're bringing me food. Adam, are you going to get that food? Oh, dude, you're killing me. I'm on a diet. A little humor in there. We've got to have humor. This stuff is so powerful and so evil and wicked, we've got to have humor. Gallows humor. Even in Vietnam and firefights, a little bit of humor there, too. People are skewed, twisted on their notion of the First Amendment that any and every religion that comes to the United States, we open it with open arms. No, we don't. Warren Jeffs is in jail. The Mormons were not allowed into statehood until they got rid of polygamy. So that the state does have compelling interest to make sure that all religions are safe for the welfare of the people. I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of First Amendment educational outreaches. I work with the sheriffs, with the police, the city attorneys, district attorneys, mayors, county boards of supervisors, Congress people, at every level. And whenever we engage with the First Amendment, which we use to protect us and guarantee our right so that we can peaceably assemble to petition a government for a redress of grievances, right there it says peaceably to assemble. And under freedom of religion, it's the same thing. Religion is the first of the four guarantees in the First Amendment, but they're all relative. None of them are absolute. Under religion, you cannot start a violent, dangerous religion. Or you can get away with it for a while, as the Muslim Brotherhood, the Ikhwan Muslimin, as Council on American Islamic Relations are doing, hiding behind the First Amendment, hiding behind the ignorance of our police, our sheriffs, our military. But this program here, pulling back the veil of the Antichrist, pulling back the veil of lies that says the First Amendment protects every kind of religion. No, it does not. It has to be peaceful. Islam, by its very nature, is not. This whole show is about that. Joseph Nasrallah, doing The Way TV, is a genius for exposing to the American people that Islam, by its very nature, is not a religion as we think of it. When we have detectives go and look at the dead body of a daughter who was murdered by a father in what's called honor killing in Islam, and the detective says, well, but he was a religious man. He prayed 5 times, 5 pillars, 5 times. 5 times, 5 pillars. What did Muhammad do? 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 He would kill people who converted from Islam, away from it. Atheist, Hindu, Buddhist, Jew, Christian, didn't matter. He would murder and communicate to his people to murder those who had dishonored him, like a father murdering his own daughter. In Islam, if you leave Islam, it's a death sentence. It's violent by its very nature. This is not protected under the First Amendment. This is a huge hurdle. Americans, Canadians, Westerners, even though we're the only guys with that written form, all the other Western nations love the ability of the idea of the First Amendment, though it's not written out. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom to peaceably assemble to petition the government for redress of grievances. But all 4 have to be done based on proof, evidence, and facts. Freedom of religion has to be peaceful, or it's not a religion. Thing, essence, ligion, the tie that binds, religion. Bona fide true religion is going to take the essence, the thing, and tie us together under common law. All common law flows from some type of religion. This is very difficult for most people to comprehend today. At the time that America was founded, at the time that the Magna Carta was written, at the time of the English Civil War and the Glorious Revolution, that was all understood. Not so today. As the Egyptians gave us the pyramid, but the modern day folks living there, especially the Muslim Brotherhood, could never figure out how to build the pyramids. In fact, they want to destroy them. And the same thing, the people who gave us our Declaration of Independence, our Articles of Confederation, our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, those folks are long gone. They understood that all common law is the basis of every type of law in the world, and that all common law flows from some type of religion. The proof is simple. Look at the 57 flags, the 57 countries of Islam. Either the crescent moon is there, or their national anthem will be Allah Akbar, as it is in Afghanistan, or on their flag it'll be Allah Akbar, as it is in Iraq, or their constitution will begin with Islam is the supreme underpinnings and law, the common law, the basis of common law, Sharia law for all 57 of the Muslim countries. In India, it's the symbol of the Hindus, the wheel of life. In old Europe, it was the cross, because it was called Christendom, the domain of Christ. And they had crosses on their flags. In the United States, we still have the Navy cross and the Air Force, their cross, I can't remember what they call it. I wasn't in the Air Force, I was in the Navy. And besides, I'm so passionate now and fired up, trying to get people to understand, can't you understand that wherever Islam goes, violence goes? Can't our leaders understand that when they went to Iraq and Afghanistan and they based the Constitution on Islam, they destroyed any chance of democracy? When I listen to people who should know better, like Oliver North, talking about the man who murdered the 2-star general, that he had become a radicalized Muslim. No, a radicalized Muslim is someone who doesn't believe in violence. A radicalized Muslim is someone who treats non-Muslims as equals. A radicalized Muslim would be a man who treats women with dignity and respect. A radicalized Muslim would not be violent. A radicalized Muslim would allow you to speak and come let us reason, to dialogue and to understand. A radicalized Muslim would allow you to speak about Jews and Christians and Hindus and Buddhists without hearing an Allah Akbar, I'm going to kill you. The reason we have this TV show and why it's so successful and why it's growing so rapidly is because people are seeing with their own eyes, hearing with their own ears, and sometimes, sadly, smelling, like with the Boston Marathon bombing, when they blew up the people in Boston, you can smell the bomb, you could smell the flesh. And like my own son, suicide bombed, and his several men near him, their bodies were covered inside their nostrils, inside their mouths, were the body, the flesh of the suicide bomber. It's disgusting. What did Muhammad do? What did Muhammad do? Sing it loud, sing it clear, sing it every time the Ikhwan Muslimin, the Muslim Brotherhood, and Council on American Islamic Relations and Islamic Society of Europe and North America, wherever you see Islamic Society in the name of a mosque, that's Muslim Brotherhood, whether it's France, Portugal, Italy, Denmark, UK, Wales, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, United States, Mexico. Islamic Society. That's code word for Muslim Brotherhood. We'll be back next week. Things are going great. We thank you very much for your contributions, what you're doing. Truly, if you love your family, if you love innocent people, you will contribute to The Way TV. This television show is doing a miraculous job of waking up not just America, but the whole world. There's hope in Jesus. God bless you all. Adieu.
في كتير طرق وسط الحياة تاهوا فيها ناس، وطرق تبان مفروشة ورد وتنتهي بألم وضيق، لكن الطريق للفرحة وطريق الخلاص عند المسيح. أصل المسيح هو